What's up, guys? So, this is one fact about every 174 Queen songs per album. After doing a ton of research on each of the songs and trying to find existing videos about this topic on YouTube, I thought it would be great just to start from scratch and to make it my own. Just a quick disclaimer, the facts I've researched about every Queen song actually turns out to be true. So what I'm actually saying is, these are real facts that have happened while the band was together, since their early years in the 70s or even before that, up until their later years in the mid to late 90s. This video is going to be pretty long, so without any further ado, let's get right into it. Keep Yourself Alive became Queen's first single. It was written after the band was formed in 1970, which during that time, Queen did not have a personal bassist yet. Doing Alright was originally a Smile song, written by Brian May and former Smile bassist and singer Tim Staffel. It was also the first Queen song that featured May on piano. Great King Rat is the main example of Queen's earliest rock and roll sound, featuring heavy compositions and sudden changes in tempo. My Fairy King is the first Queen song to feature Freddie Mercury on piano. Liar was originally called Lover, written by Freddie Mercury in 1970 when he was still in his early group called Ibex. The Night Comes Down became one of the very first Queen songs ever recorded, right after John Deacon joined the band in 1971, following the breakup of Smile beforehand. Modern Times Rock and Roll is the first Queen song written and sang by drummer Roger Taylor. Son and Daughter originally featured a guitar solo. When the album was released, it did not feature a solo, but until 1974, it did have a guitar solo in the middle of the song during live performances. Jesus was written by Freddie Mercury when as a Parsi Zoroastrian, therefore contained lyrics about the story of Jesus Christ in Nazareth through his personal religion. Seven Seas of Rhye became the first instrumental track recorded by Queen on their first album, therefore at that time was partially written by Mercury. Procession is the first song to have the guitar parts be recorded through the Deaky amp, which is a custom-made amp made by bassist John Deacon when he was in electrical engineering. Father to Son features a 2-octave range of Freddie Mercury ranging from a G3 to an A4, and Roger Taylor ranging from a G4 to an A5. Brian May wrote the song White Queen as it began in 1968 while reading the book The White Goddess by Robert Graves. Someday One Day is the first Queen song to feature Brian May on lead vocals, and also the first one to feature John Deacon on acoustic guitar. The Loser in the End is the only song off of Queen 2, which was written and sang by Roger Taylor. The opening part in the song Ogre Battle is actually the end of the song played backwards. The lyrics in the Fairyfellas Masterstroke are inspired by and takes direct reference from a painting by Richard Dodd with the same name. Nevermore was one of the very few Queen tracks to use ringing sound effects by plugging the strings of a piano. The March of the Black Queen was one of the very few Queen songs recorded on a 16-track tape. According to Roger Taylor in a 1977 band interview, the tape contained so much overdubbing, it eventually caused it to wear out. The reason why the song Funny How Love Is wasn't performed live is due to the high register vocal harmonies which were done by Mercury throughout the whole song. Seven Seas of Rhye was written by Freddie Mercury, which was inspired by a fantasy world he and his little sister Kashmira had created in their imagination when they were kids. Brighton Rock contains one of the band's longest guitar solos, which is more than 3 minutes long. According to Guitar World magazine, the song was ranked number 41, which is listed on the top 100 greatest guitar solos of all time. Killer Queen became the band's first international hit single, which reached number 12 on the Billboard Top 100 in the US. It was also said to be one of Brian May's favorites. Tenement Funster is the only song off Sheer Heart Attack to feature Roger Taylor's vocals, and one of the few songs featuring John Deacon on acoustic guitar, which is during May's absence. After Brian May recovered from hepatitis, Flick of the Wrist is a song he's never heard the band record, before adding the guitar parts later on. The song Lily of the Valley contains the lyrics, "Messenger from the Seven Seas has flown, to tell the King of Rye who lost his throne," takes reference from their song, Seven Seas of Rye. Now I'm Here was written by Brian May when he was hospitalized with hepatitis during Queen's American tour supporting Mott the Hoople. In the Lap of the Gods features one of the highest notes on the album, sang by Roger Taylor. Stone Cold Crazy was one of the only songs the band did with the use of thrash metal. Dear Friends is the sixth shortest track on any Queen album, featuring a piano as the only instrument. Before You're My Best Friend, Misfire became the first Queen song written by John Deacon. Bring Back the Leroy Brown is the only song off Sheer Heart Attack that first features the following instruments: a jangle piano played by Mercury, a double bass played by Deacon, and a George Formley ukulele banjo, which was played by May. She Makes Me is the only song off Sheer Heart Attack to feature May on lead vocals. In the Lap of the Gods Revisited became the primary closing song for Queen's live set performances before an encore took place from 1974 to 1977. The lyrics in the song Death on Two Legs were said to be about the anger and hatred on Mercury's relationship to Queen's first manager, Norman Sheffield, who's been mistreating the band since his management with them. The lead vocals on Lazing on a Sunday Afternoon were picked up by a microphone in a tin bucket to give the song a hollow megaphone effect. While recording the original demo of I'm in Love with My Car, Roger Taylor played all the guitars before Brian May re-recorded all the parts on his Red Special. While writing You're My Best Friend, John Deacon was learning to play piano, which eventually became the only Queen song to feature him on electric keyboards. The lyrics to the song 39 relates to the tale of when a group of space explorers on a voyage realize 100 years have passed upon their return. Sweet Lady has an unusual rock style, which uses 3 beats per measure and 4 beats per measure during the bridge. Seaside Rendezvous is the only Queen song to add voice imitations by Mercury and Taylor. During the instrumental bridge of the song, Mercury imitates the woodwinds while Taylor imitates the brass. The Prophet song is the longest Queen song ever recorded at a duration of only 8 minutes and 21 seconds. While recording Freddie's song, Love of My Life, May played 3 instruments: his Red Special, a harp, and a 12-string acoustic he bought from Japan during the band's album tour earlier that year. Brian May wrote Good Company on his father's ukulele banjo. When the song was recorded, however, he played a normal ukulele instead. Bohemian Rhapsody took about 3 weeks to record, which featured Mercury, May, and Taylor singing their vocal harmonies 10 to 12 hours a day, which in some sections featured 180 overdubs in total. Currently known as the British National Anthem, in 2002, Brian May played God Save the Queen on top of Buckingham Palace for the Queen's Golden Jubilee. Brian May wrote the song Tie Your Mother Down on the Canary Islands in 1968 while studying for his PhD as an astrophysicist. He wrote the song on a Spanish guitar and considered the title as a joke, which Mercury encouraged him to keep it. When Queen performed a free concert at Hyde Park, Mercury at first performed You Take My Breath Away by himself before actually recording it. Brian May wanted to use a Rickenbacker guitar to record Long Away because he admired John Lennon, but the idea was dropped because he wasn't used to the Rickenbacker's thin neck. The Millionaire Waltz was one of the few Queen songs to feature lead bass playing, whereas Deacon and Mercury are playing both instruments, bass and piano respectively. It was also a song written about John Reid, who was both Queen's new manager at that time. You and I is the only track from A Day at the Races to be written by Deacon. Somebody to Love was inspired by gospel music, which first featured multi-tracking vocals of all 4 Queen members, Mercury, May, Taylor, and Deacon, to create a 100-voice gospel choir. The song White Man was written about the suffering of Native Americans conquered by British immigrants, which became one of the band's most heaviest sounding works. Queen's recording engineer, Mike Stone, is heard singing the lyrics, "Hey boy, where did you get it from? Hey boy, where did you go?" on the song Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy. Drowse is the only song from A Day at the Races to feature Roger Taylor on lead vocals and on rhythm guitar, and also one of the few songs to feature Brian May on a slide guitar. Teo Toriate became the first Queen song to have 2 of its choruses sung partially in another language, therefore in Japanese, which pays tribute to all the band's Japanese fans.
Everybody, we will rock you.
During the studio recording of We Will Rock You, this is one of the very few Queen songs not to feature any bass, despite Deacon having it in the music video and was used in live performances of the song itself. The music video of We Are the Champions was shot inside New London Theatre on October 6, 1977, just 22 days before the album's release in the same year. The song, Sheer Heart Attack, was half finished while recording it during the Sheer Heart Attack album sessions in 1974, which featured Taylor to sing lead on the demo before Mercury sang lead on the verses on the final version of the song. When Brian May wrote the song All Dead, rumors were confirmed about writing it, which is partially inspired by the death of his cat from his childhood. The music video for Spread Your Wings, along with We Will Rock You, was filmed in Roger Taylor's backyard of his house. Due to cold weather conditions taking place, Brian May did not bring his Red Special in the video, in which he was playing a copy of it. Guitarist Slash from Guns N' Roses claimed that the song Fight From the Inside was one of his favorite guitar riffs of all time. The distinctive psychedelic sound effects heard on the song Get Down Make Love aren't actually produced on a synthesizer, but through the use of May's Red Special using a frequency analyzer pedal along with an electronic harmonizer. Sleeping on the Sidewalk is the only Queen song in their discography to be recorded in one take, except for the vocals. Who Needs You does not feature any drums, but instead features maracas and a cowbell, which are both played by Mercury and May. Brian May wrote the song It's Late as a 3-act theatrical play, in which he called each verse in the song as acts when he wrote it on sheet music. My Melancholy Blues was played live with Deacon on a fretless bass, but he used a normal fretted bass on the album's recording version. Mustafa is 2 of the 3 Queen songs in which all the lyrics are in a different language, therefore in English with Arabic and Persian religious phrases and names. Fat Bottom Girls is the only Queen song to have the guitar and bass dropped in D, which is a rarity for the whole band themselves. The sitar sound effect used in the song Jealousy was played on Brian May's Hallfred acoustic guitar, which was given a replacement hardwood bridge, a chisel flat, and with a small piece of fret wire in between the bridge and strings. The bicycle bells featured on the song Bicycle Race are played by all 4 Queen members during its recording. If You Can't Beat 'Em is one of the few songs written by John Deacon on Jazz, which features Brian May playing on all the guitars. Let Me Entertain You is the only Queen song to reference the band's record labels, which are both EMI and Elektra in the lyrics. The Thunderbolt sound effects at the end of the song Dead on Time was actually recorded by Brian May on a portable recording system during a thunderstorm. In Only 7 Days is one of the fewest Queen songs to feature John Deacon on both acoustic and on electric guitar throughout the whole song. Dreamer's Ball was a slow blues ballad written by Brian May as a tribute to Elvis Presley, who died a year earlier before the album's release in 1978. Fun It was the only song off Jazz to feature Roger Taylor playing Syndrum pads instead of actual drums, as well as most of the other instruments. The bridge in the song Leaving Home Ain't Easy has Brian May's vocals sped up in order to create a feminine voice. According to most criticism, Don't Stop Me Now is one of the most joyous and most happiest driving songs of all time. More of That Jazz is one of the only Queen songs to feature short clips of other songs in the mix during the bridge, which are all from the same album.
So easy when you know the rules.
The music video of Play the Game does not feature Brian May's Red Special, therefore a Fender Stratocaster. This was due to the risk of damage from the shot when Mercury snatches the guitar away from May, and May catching it to play the solo. Dragon Attack is one of the few Queen songs to involve a bass solo in the middle of the song, which is in between the drums and guitar solos. After attending a Queen concert in Los Angeles, it was actually Michael Jackson's idea, who suggested to the band to release their song Another One Bites the Dust as a single. The lyrics of the song Need Your Loving Tonight take the point of view of someone who's upset losing his lover, therefore is the only breakup song by Queen written by John Deacon. Freddie Mercury wrote the lyrics to Crazy Little Thing Called Love in only 10 minutes while lounging in the bathtub in a hotel in Munich. Throughout the whole song, Rocket Prime Jive, Roger Taylor sings almost all the lyrics except the intro, which is sung by Mercury, making this one of the 2 songs off this album to do so. Despite the song having a smooth bass line, Don't Try Suicide is the B-side to Another One Bites the Dust from the American release of the single. Sail Away Sweet Sister is the other of the 2 songs from the album, in which almost all the lyrics were sang primarily by another member. Through this example, Brian May sang on the whole song except the bridge, which is sang by Mercury. Coming Soon was one of the few songs off the Game album that started out during the band's jazz album sessions beforehand. Save Me was written by Brian May about Freddie Mercury, whose relationship with an American chef has just ended. It was also the last music video to feature Mercury without a mustache before actually growing one. The album version of Flash, known as Flash's Theme, uses the start of the film with the dialogue from the first scene, whereas the single version, simply known as Flash, uses dialogue from various parts of the film. In the Space Capsule, the Love Theme, and in the Death Cell, Love Theme Reprise were both written by Taylor, therefore wrote all the Love Theme songs on the album. Ming's theme, In the Court of Ming the Merciless, is the first instrumental song off of any Queen album to feature Mercury on synthesizer. The Ring, Hypnotic Seduction of Dale, is the shortest track off the Flash Gordon album, with a duration of only 54 seconds. Football Fight is one of the few instrumental Queen songs to be featured on another film other than Flash Gordon. It can be heard in the 2012 film Ted, but does not appear on the soundtrack. Execution of Flash is the only Queen song to feature John Deacon by himself on guitar. Along with Mercury, English composer Howard Blake also wrote the track The Kiss Aura Resurrects Flash, whose name was uncredited on the album, but was credited in the film score. Arborea, Planet of the Tree Men, is the only instrumental Queen song that featured Deacon playing synthesizer. Escape from the Swamp is the only recorded Queen song to feature Roger Taylor playing live timpani drums throughout the whole duration of the track. Flash to the Rescue is the first instrumental track on the Flash Gordon album that is written by Brian May, therefore took some vocal parts from the album's opening track. Volton's theme, Attack of the Hawkmen, is the only track off the second side of the album written by Freddie Mercury. Most of the instrumental arrangements off the track Battle Theme are heard in the album's final track, The Hero. The Wedding March, also known as the bridal chorus in the film, were arranged and played by May's Red Special. The Marriage of Dale and Ming and Flash Approaching is the only song off the Flash Gordon soundtrack album to be written by two Queen members, who are May and Taylor. The duration of the track, Crash Dive on Mingo City, is exactly 1 minute. Flash's theme Reprise is the last Queen song used in the film before the credits score. The Hero is the only track off the second side of the Flash Gordon soundtrack album to have vocals through the whole duration, and was partially performed in live Queen concerts from 1981 to 1982.
Rock me, baby, rock me. Come on, you can shock me. Let's get John.
Staying Power is the only Queen song performed live with John Deacon on electric guitar, in addition to Brian May. It was also the only Queen song to feature a horn section during the bridge. Dancer is the only song off of Hot Space to reference the album's name in its lyrics. Backchat is one of the most notable songs from the album that is inspired by Black American dance music, combining genres like R&B, disco, and funk, which was written and arranged by Deacon. Body Language is the only music video by Queen to be banned by the BBC due to its heavy use of clad womanizing models writhing in a bathhouse. The song, Action This Day, was named after a catchphrase by Winston Churchill the statesman would attach to urgent documents, and recapitulates the theme of social awareness. May was under the influence of alcohol when recording the guitar solo for Put Out the Fire after many unsuccessful attempts. As a tribute to John Lennon, whose tragic death happened 2 years before the album's release, Life is Real is one of the few songs by Mercury whose lyrics were written before the actual music. The music video for the song Calling All Girls was a parody of the George Lucas film Thanks 1138, featuring robots, though the song itself, according to Taylor, has nothing to do about them. The lyrics in Las Palabras de Amor were inspired by Queen's fans in Latin America, with several Spanish phrases added to their lyrics in English. It was also the last song the band performed appearing on Top of the Pops. During various bootleg recordings of the song Cool Cat, David Bowie was originally featured on backing vocals. Bowie was unhappy with the results and requested to have his vocals removed before the album's release. Under Pressure originally came from a jam session, while the band is recording an unreleased demo track called Feel Like. The band wasn't satisfied until they ran into David Bowie, who was also there recording vocals for his song Cat People.
I'd sit alone and watch your light.
Roger Taylor wrote the song Radio Gaga on the keyboards after hearing his son, who was 3 years old back then, say Radio Caca. It was also the song where future pop star Lady Gaga got her stage name from. Tear It Up was written by Brian May as an attempt to revive the band's old sound back, which featured him to sing on the demo before the final version had Mercury's vocals. According to May and Taylor, It's a Hard Life was said to be one of their favorite tracks written by Mercury, but when the music video came out, Taylor claimed that he dislikes it due to their video appearance, despite May viewing it from a positive point of view, claiming Mercury portraying a wealthy man singing the song's main lyrics. The rockabilly-like song, Man on the Prowl, features Brian May playing a Fender Telecaster in the solo instead of his Red Special. It was originally planned to be released as a single, which also made it the B-side to the rare Queen song, Thank God It's Christmas. The robotic voices heard in the song Machines Back to Humans were performed by Roger Taylor using a Roland VP330 vocoder. The music video for the song I Want to Break Free was the only Queen video to be banned by MTV due to the band's appearance in drag. The idea to have the members be dressed as women was Roger Taylor's, which parodied the British soap opera Coronation Street. Keep Passing the Open Windows was written by Mercury in 1983 for the 1984 film The Hotel New Hampshire, in which the phrase was mentioned several times throughout the film, and was co-produced by Queen's manager, Jim Miami Beach. The lyrics in several points from the song Hammer to Fall refer to the era of the Cold War in which the band members grew up in, therefore increasing the conception the song was about nuclear war. Is This the World We Created is the only duo song off the Works album, featuring Mercury and May. The lyrics and acoustic guitar parts were written after watching The Poverty in Africa, which was performed at Live Aid as an encore. Appearing on the Works album as a bonus track, I Go Crazy was the only Queen song to reference themselves as a band, along with the Rolling Stones, in their own lyrics. Thank God It's Christmas is the only Christmas song recorded and released by Queen, as it appears on the Works album as another bonus track. One Vision is the first Queen song to be written by all four members in the band. During an interview, Roger Taylor stated it was originally his song, which contained lyrics about Martin Luther King Jr. A Kind of Magic was written by Taylor after a phrase that was used in the movie Highlander, which was said by film character Connor McLeod as a description for his immortality. Taylor liked the phrase so much, he used several movie references in the lyrics. The guitar parts in the song 1 Year of Love were substituted by a saxophone solo instead. This was decided by John Deacon, who wrote the song from a discussion he had with Brian May, who was not featured on the track. Pain is So Close to Pleasure originally started out as a guitar riff idea by Brian May, then in which Mercury and Deacon turned it into a Motown song, which features Deacon on rhythm guitar. During the band's Magic Tour, Friends Will Be Friends is the only song that was sung in between We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions, which were both performed live in sequence since the band's News of the World tour back in 1977. Who Wants to Live Forever is one of the few Queen songs in which John Deacon did not participate in recording. A double bass as well as some orchestral arrangements were added by Brian May, who himself along with Mercury sing a duet on the song from the album's version. Highlander's film director, Russell Mulcahy, stated that Gimme the Prize was his least favorite of the band's songs used in the movie due to his non-interest in heavy metal. The spoken word vocal cameos heard in the song Don't Lose Your Head were featured by singer Joan Armatrading. Princes of the Universe is one of the band's most complex and most hard-edged tracks in performance, featuring a cross between hard rock and heavy metal. It was also later used as the opening theme for the Highlander series.
We had a good night, jamming away, there was a full moon.
Party was one of the very few Queen songs to be written by every member in the band, except for Taylor, which started out as a jam session featuring Mercury, May, and Deacon. Khashoggi's ship was written about famous billionaire Adrian Khashoggi and a ship that he owned, which is one of the largest private yachts in the world. According to a story in 2011 set in the Enemy Music magazine, Paul Howard, who was the boy that played Brian May in the Miracle music video, is said to be currently manager at Legoland Windsor, UK. I Want It All is the only song in which Roger Taylor uses a double kick drum pedal during the fast solo part of the song. It was also the only Queen song in which Mercury and May sing a duet during the bridge. The Invisible Man is the only Queen song to reference the band members' names, each being called out from parts of the song. Freddie Mercury before his vocal part, John Deacon during a bass line after the first verse, Brian May during his guitar solo, and Roger Taylor before doing a drum roll near the end. The first 30 seconds of the slow vocal harmony in the song Breakthrough was apparently written by Freddie Mercury, based from another song he's written that never got released, called When Love Breaks Up. While recording the song Rain Must Fall, Roger Taylor claimed he was using a lot of Latin percussion, which most of it was edited out to make more room for vocal harmonies, guitar parts, and keyboards. Scandal was written by Brian May about the British press releasing on the following issues of the band: the relationship of May and actress Anita Dobson, and Mercury's rare public appearances after being diagnosed with AIDS in 1987. My Baby Does Me is the last Queen song to feature only Freddie Mercury and John Deacon as both collaborated songwriters through the 1980s. Was It All Worth It was cited by John Deacon as being his most favorite song off the Miracle album, despite the song itself not being released as an actual single. The flamenco guitar solo during the bridge of the song Innuendo was played by prog rock guitarist Steve Howe of Yes, who just visited with the band in their studio in Switzerland and was asked to play, who became the only non-Queen member to play on a studio recording of a Queen song. The music video for I'm Going Slightly Mad features Mercury all dressed up in costume with extremely high makeup. Prior to his appearance change, it was said by Roger Taylor that Mercury's appearance must be camouflaged due to him being really ill at this time. Headlong was written by Brian May, which was originally going to be recorded for his upcoming solo album, but the idea was scratched when hearing Mercury's vocals on the track, which makes it become a Queen song instead. I Can't Live Without You is another song that was going to be recorded for Brian May's solo album, but became a Queen song due to the other members' fondness for the track. According to May in a 1991 interview, this is one of the hardest songs to mix when actually recording it. The intro rain effect on the song Don't Try So Hard is actually the preset sound of the Korg M1. The song Ride the Wild Wind acts like a sequel from Taylor's 1975 song I'm in Love with My Car. During its recording, the song has featured all of the members playing on it, instead of Taylor playing most of the parts himself. All God's People was originally part of Mercury's Barcelona project from 1987 to 1988 under the title Africa by Night. He then asked May to play guitar on the track, which led the whole band to be part of it afterwards. These Are the Days of Our Lives is the last Queen music video to feature Freddie Mercury alive through his theatrical appearance. Because of how frail he looks as his AIDS condition worsens, the music video was set to black and white to hide his severe illness, since it'll be too difficult to disguise him. Delilah was written by Mercury about his favorite female calico cat with the same name. Though he originally had 11 cats, Delilah was set to be a special one. The Hitman is the only track off Innuendo to feature John Deacon as a writer, along with May and Mercury, who all arranged the song from his demo version, which was originally on keyboards and featured May on vocals in a different key. Bijou is the only Queen song that has the least amount of vocals, therefore are only heard in the break of the song, with the rest of it being played instrumentally on May's Red Special. Although the song itself wasn't released as a single after Mercury's death on November 24th, 1991, The Show Must Go On was recorded in 1990. While recording the vocals, May was concerned if Mercury would still be physically capable, despite him still being alive through his illness, which Mercury said to him, he will still be able to do it.
It's a beautiful day. The sun.
It's a Beautiful Day was originally a sound clip of Mercury experimenting on his piano, which was recorded in 1980 during the Game album sessions. Made in Heaven was recorded during the Mr. Bad Guy sessions of Mercury's discography as a solo artist. After his death in 1991, the song's title gave its name to be the one for Queen's last studio album. The band originally recorded Let Me Live during the Works album sessions. It was also the only Queen track where Mercury, Taylor, and May all sang on the chorus, with each one of them singing the verses. Mother Love is the last Queen song recorded, and also the last vocal performance of Freddie Mercury alive. Due to his worsening condition, Mercury never made it back to the studio, which made Brian May sing the last verse. My Life Has Been Saved is the last song and only track off Made in Heaven, written by John Deacon. Like Made in Heaven, I Was Born to Love You is one of the only Queen songs to change its original version into a different genre, most specifically a rock version. When the original song was released as part of the Mr. Bad Guy sessions for Mercury's solo album, it was already a disco version. Heaven for Everyone was written by Roger Taylor, and it was originally a Queen track that was tried out in 1987. When Taylor thought the song was unclear, his other band, The Cross, had recorded it, with Mercury's vocals being the lead, after visiting them in their studio. The Queen version of Too Much Love Will Kill You was recorded by Mercury in 1989. However, during the Made in Heaven sessions in 1995, the remaining band members added the original Brian May recording of the song, with Mercury's vocals included. You Don't Fool Me was said to be one of the very last Queen songs ever recorded on Made in Heaven, and was written during the Innuendo album sessions just before Mercury's death. A Winter's Tale is the very last completed song to be written by Mercury on his own. It's a Beautiful Day Reprise is the only Queen song to include samples from one other Queen song of their own, which is Seven Seas of Rhye. The track, 13, also known as Untitled, is the longest instrumental track in the Queen discography, with a duration of only 22 minutes and 32 seconds. Despite the track being so long, Mercury's voice can also be heard in the track, laughing and saying the phrases, "Are you running?" and "Fab" at the very end. No One But You, Only the Good Die Young is the very last original Queen single released in 1997, which pays tribute to the deaths of Princess Diana and to their beloved bandmate Freddie Mercury, who died 6 years earlier before the song's release. This was also the last Queen song to feature John Deacon as the band's bassist for 26 years, as he retires from the music industry later that year. Well, that's 174 facts for every Queen song there is. Which facts did you like and surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments, and I'd love to know. Also, in terms of copyright, I don't own the rights to all the songs, which all credits go to the band Queen for their music. So, anyways, that is it for now. Hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, I'll see you all next time. Goodbye, and peace.